everyone. Today we're doing a look at Tribes of Midgard, and we're going to do a pros, cons, and final thoughts at the end. So here, we're doing a run through the game right now, and this is the very, very beginning. This game has been poorly advertised. I'll say that right off the bat. And what I mean by that is, the game was advertised as a survival game. In fact, you might be looking at this video thinking, oh man, let's find out what this survival game is all about. Tribes of Midgard is not really a survival game. It's got survival game elements, which is fine. In other words, like you're gathering, you gotta look out for temperature in some area, get too hot, too cold, there's no hunger, there's no thirst. And that's not the problem. That's not the lack of hunger and thirst feature does not make it less of a survival game in my opinion. The problem is, this is a roguelite. You play the game, you fail, and you start again from the beginning and you go again. Your sessions might last anywhere from half hour to 3 hours if you're doing quite well. But once that session ends, you're going to either inevitably fail, or you're going to choose to escape. And if you can choose to escape or leave, and that's not done by just leaving the game. It's done by going to like an altar and choosing that, okay, we've had enough, it's getting a little too difficult, let's get out of here. And it plays a lot like a roguelite because the map is generated via a seed. Seeds are, like in some games they'll allow you to type in a seed and you'll get the same world as someone who's using that same exact seed. If you look to the right of that little mini-map at the top left, you'll see a seed number. That seed number is going to dictate exactly how the world is developed. And every time you play, the world is a little different. That's cool, right? I like that. But it's session-based. It's a game that's, you can level your character from level 1, and, you know, you hit level 2, you pick your class. And you can go up to level 10. But when you start a new session, you're back to level 1 again. Now, there is some progression beyond that, as in account progression, which I'll show you a little bit of towards the end of the video, how your account can level up and you can unlock some stuff for your account and get access to recipes that you didn't have in the beginning. So it's got a little bit of progression here and there, which is nice. But the game was advertised as this full survival game, build up your base, make your base your own, and defend it. And while that's true, it does have those features, they're not persistent. Your base is back to square one when you first start. You're going out to get more materials and stuff, and then you fail and you do it again, and you build your base back up, you level your character back up, and you start from basic equipment again. So it really has this speedrun mentality going on. This is where it kind of bothers me. This game, Tribes of Midgard, it's so restrictive in what you can do in the game. It's like if you're not doing the right thing at that moment, you're screwed. You can't go AFK, you can't waste time, you have to do what you have to do. You have to do the right thing very quickly. And if you're messing up, you're screwed. Because you have all of these things that are constantly stopping you from doing what you want to do in the game. You want to explore the world, which is actually designed quite well. Well, you can't do that because your base is about to be assaulted. Okay, you handled the assault on your base, you want to go back out to explore. Okay, well, there's a Jotun or a Jotun, however you pronounce it, coming to your base to attack you. A god is slowly walking towards your base pretty much the entire game. And you need to go take them out, and then you get a little bit of a break from them, but the waves are still going to come at night. So you got to go defend that. And now a new god has spawned, and it's going to start slowly walking towards your base. And it might take 10 to 15 minutes for that god to reach the base. So you want to go out there and engage them before they even get close to the base, so they're weakened before they reach your base, right? So there's constantly things you're worried about keeping in check, but you're also trying to go out there to explore and gather stuff and see what the world's got waiting for you, right? But the game kind of pulls on itself. You got this awesome world, and then you got these features that are keeping you away from that awesome world. So it's got a very, very odd design, and it's just it doesn't really make sense to me. And in addition to that, the game was advertised as this survival game. Play this survival game with your friends, and up to 10-player co-op survival, build up your base. Yeah, it's got those features. It does. But it really falls short with a more roguelite approach. A more roguelite... And I love roguelites. If you guys have seen the videos on this channel, I love roguelite games. But this game could have done a lot better if it was designed as a persistent world, in my opinion. I think it could have been better. The maps could have been enormous. They could have been like 10 times the size. And maybe build your base anywhere you want. That's the type of approach that a lot of people were expecting. And I looked back at the Discord about a week before, and people were talking about, oh, you know, I'll be hosting a server 24/7, and players can join my server. We'll build the city together, and I'll make sure the server is always running. It's not like that. You can't do that, and people were under this almost like a false pretense that it would be a true survival game. Now, let's talk about the game itself. As you can see here, I'm crafting gear. There's a fair amount of gear you can craft. You go out there and get materials, and you suit yourself or equip yourself with a bunch of gear, and you go out there, you fight stronger enemies that are a little further out past the base, and you might get better materials to craft even more gear. Now, there are classes in the game that you have to unlock. You start with 2, and then you unlock them, and they are persistent. They're forever available in your further games that you play. So when you first start, you're going to be limited to 2 classes. One's a range-based class, and one is a little more melee. Now, when you progress far enough in your account, like I mentioned earlier, you'll have recipes for weaponry and armor that you didn't have at the beginning. You'll also get options to have like these starter packs of gear, or gathering axe and mining pick right off the bat. So you'll get a little bit of a boost to your future runs, which can make it much easier to hit the ground running. But the game is designed around that. You have to be fast, and the starting gear lets you go faster, right? You skip a little bit of the starting time, like, oh, let me craft my mining pick and my axe. When you can start with it, start hitting that ore, the stone, the iron, cutting down trees right off the bat. And that's where the game really, really falls short for me, is there is like this crazy speed run. You have to rush. You have to be always doing something. You can't go AFK. You can't do anything else, because you're going to screw yourself, because the ever-encroaching darkness that's, you know, going to attack your base. If nighttime's going to hit, your base is going to get attacked. You have to go there to defend that. The gods are always approaching. The game's always getting harder and harder and harder and harder until you have to leave. So it's got some cool features, but it definitely hurts the overall game with this whole rushed mentality. Now let's move over to some of the features I can show you. Some of the base defense, the gods, let's show you all that good stuff. Let's do this. All right. So here's one of the gods, one of the Jotun, however you pronounce it, that walks towards your base slowly. You'll see she's actually slowly making progress in the map while turning to attack us. She'll still continue to move towards our base. Now, they'll eventually make it to your base, and they will wreck your base if you don't take action before they get close. So you want to at least weaken them before they reach the walls of your base. So that's something that's always on your mind. Like, there's one of them on the map slowly making their way towards our base, right? So you have to go out there and deal with it before they get there. And you got to at least weaken them or kill them, and then you get a little bit of a break. Now, this is another feature, in my opinion, that pulls away from the enjoyment of the game and in the overall survival type of design the game was originally advertised to have. You don't really get the free reign of exploring the well-designed world. The world is great, it's nice, there's a lot to see, it's designed quite well, and this is something that I think pulls away from such an awesome design that they had. Now, let's take a look at what base defense looks like as well, because that's something else you have to look out for at night. Your base is going to get attacked, so besides these gods walking towards your base, you got to go back to your base every night to defend it. Let's take a look at that. So here we are at night, if you take a look at the top right of the screen, you're gonna see that little like darker black, very dark gray portion of that little dial, and that dial will slowly turn clockwise, and that portion of it is the attack, is the night. So here we're near our base, and these guys are spawning outside our base, and we have to stop them. We want to stop them before they reach our base and destroy the walls and eventually make it on the inside and break down and kill the tree. And the tree's health bar is right near that top right portion right there as well. Right under day 12, you'll see the health bar of the tree. You get these souls by going out there and gathering and killing, and you'll actually see on the right side of the screen, again, everything's on the right side right now, I'll get some souls and mats and stuff, and you could put those souls in the tree, and that's the tree's health. Souls are used for a lot of other things, vendors, for crafting stuff, repairing gear, stuff like that. So it's used for a lot of things. But you can put it in the tree as a way to increase its health bar or heal it in a way. And it's very important. So at night, this thing's attacking. We have a whole ton of demon type of enemies that are attacking. Here's a tip. Use a lightning-based weapon. Always have a lightning-based weapon. Because for some reason, all of the enemies that attack you at night are weak to lightning. Weird design, because there's four, like I mentioned before, there's 4 different gods, and they each have their own element weakness. One of them is weak to lightning. All of these enemies are weak to lightning here, and a lot of enemies out in the world are weak to lightning. Lightning is the best weapon to have. It's the best. Everyone's got to have a lightning weapon, and then you can have a second one with a different element, and you should be good. It's nice to have each of the 4 elements so you can use them on different types of gods that show up. But anyway, enough about the weakness. This is just another thing you have to worry about, another thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, that portion of the little mini-map on the top right, that dark portion, gets larger and larger and larger, which means the nights are longer and longer and longer until it's permanent. Let me explain that one more time. Eventually, the night will be 24/7 in this game, which means your base will always be attacked, which also means you always have to have people defending it while someone else might be out there exploring the world. This makes it hell for people playing this game single player. There's a lot of people complaining about the single player balance. If you plan to play this game alone, you are not going to have a good time. You are not going to like this game. It is a co-op game, which I enjoy co-op games. I don't mind it. But they did advertise this game as, you know, being able to be played alone, which, in my opinion, that is a lie. That's false. You really cannot enjoy this game alone. You cannot really progress even close to as far as you can with a team, with an organized team on VoIP, either in-game you're using, you know, voice, or in Discord. You have to be quite organized, and that's a shame. I think it's okay for games to really be co-op oriented, but don't advertise it as being completely soloable, because that's not true for this game. So hopefully we see some balance changes. But let's take a look at the account progression. All right, let's take a look at that, and then we'll close out this video for the pros, cons, and final thoughts. But let's go. One more section. Okay, so here we are at the main menu for Tribes of Midgard, right? We're going to take a look at the progression, the account progression. Over at the top right, you'll see my level. I'm level 11, my account level. Because like I've said earlier, when we start a new game, we're still going to be level 1. Everyone's going to start off as their character level 1, but your account still progresses. So we're going to take a look at rewards here. This is a season-based reward system. What does that mean? That means right now we're in Season 1, the Wolf Saga. There will be new seasons released in the game, which will then start you from level 1 account, and you'll have to progress through that season's progression. I don't know how I feel about that. That means coming back every few months to do the next season. And for this type of game, I don't know. I know Path of Exile and stuff does stuff like that, but I don't know if this is the type of game for it. And this kind of falls under the whole, was this game really advertised properly? It was advertised as a survival game, and we're getting anything but that. So, and the game is not horrible, it's not bad, but it's just different than what, like, everyone was expecting. So, here, you see I'm level 11, which means I have everything before this unlocked, but I still have quite a bit to go, all the way up to 50. There are cosmetics in here. There are things that actually make a difference. There's even cash shop currency. That's right, there's a cosmetic cash shop in the game as well. If you don't know that, I'll show you that in a minute. But you'll see, like, okay, Harvester Starter Kit. Remember when I mentioned that we can start with an axe, we can start with a pickaxe, and you even get a Lucky Loot Rune, which helps you get more loot. That's one of the starter kits you can choose from. And you can start the game with a little bit of help, right? There's other runes that you can unlock, and these are like passively equipped on your character. And you're also unlocking the possibility of seeing these runes. Like, you can't possibly see this rune in the game at all until you unlock it in the rewards tier here. And that's where a roguelike kind of comes into play. You ever play a game where it's like, okay, you have maybe 20 items you can find when you first start, but okay, you're running it, you fail, you die, or whatever, something of the sort, and it's like, hey, you've unlocked the possibility of these additional 5 items. So now when you play through the next time, you might see those. So it's got that kind of system going on. Plus, there's recipes here. You'll see equipment recipe, legendary, a new pair of legs that I can equip now. I would unlock that recipe so I can craft better gear, and there's another one right there further on that I'll begin to unlock. Additionally, there's these things called golden horns. Golden horns are, you make very, very strong gear. When you're playing the game, you consume them. You'll see I have 6 of them. They're the only piece of like currency and equipment that persists after each run. And these matter a lot. So you can craft some of these legendary gear. The legendary gear is going to require these golden horns to craft. So you have to make sure you have them for future runs. And you get them by doing runs. You can get them rarely from enemies that drop them, or by choosing to leave the game through the altar at the end and saying, we've had enough, it's getting a little too hard, let's get out of here. And you'll get rewarded based off how well you did. You'll get rewarded with a certain amount of these golden horns. Plus, while you're leveling your account, you'll get batches of them. You'll see I'll get 3 when I hit level 15. In addition to that, if we go to the shop, you'll see that there are things I can buy with the horn. So this is a cosmetic. This is only cosmetic, this one here. I can use 10 horns to get a cool looking axe. Or I can get a little avatar portrait thing. But if you take a look at this, this is actual equipment with golden horns. Now, golden horns is not cash shop currency. That's something you have to earn in-game only by playing, which is good. But there is a cosmetic cash shop in the game that you can use platinum coins to unlock some crazy stuff. Not really a fan of this even existing in the game, but you can spend your coins for those if you want, but they're all cosmetic. But yeah, you can say, hey, give me more platinum coins, and sure enough, Steam's gonna pop up and be like, $20 for more silver coins if you want to buy some more cosmetics. Don't really like that, but at least it's only cosmetic. I still don't like it at all, though. There are, like I said, cosmetics you can unlock. You can equip them on your character, mess around with that if you want your gear to look different, gold and wonky and all that stuff. Not a huge fan of the cosmetic cash shop system, but all I can say is at least it's just cosmetics. For now, question mark? I hope it stays that way. But there's a lot of stuff to progress, to earn through account progression. And you get some cash up currency, as you see, 200 platinum coins. So, whoops, my alarm. You'll get some cash up currency by progressing. It's whatever. One last thing before we close out this video. Classes. Like I said, you'll start with Ranger Warrior with only 2 classes to pick from, and then you have to complete certain tasks to unlock the additional ones. Use the Bifrost to exit 10 worlds. That's the thing I said, what I was explaining before. You can use the, like this altar, this crystal altar that they call the Bifrost, which you can use to leave. You choose, okay, I've had enough, let me out of here. You'll get a certain amount of horns based off how you did, and if you do it 10 times, you'll unlock the Seer. Berserker, just kill 20 enemies in 10 seconds. That's quite difficult. Activate all shrines in the world. Something that's quite difficult too. You'll unlock the Hunter. And this, I think the Sentinel was like block a certain amount of times. The Guardian was kill a certain amount of gods. I think kill 3 gods in a single game. And the Warden, I don't remember. But it'll tell you. If you don't have them unlocked, it'll tell you how to unlock them. And each of them gets a talent tree. You'll get a certain amount of points, and you'll be able to unlock a certain amount of talents. But those all reset every game. In addition to that, I don't know if it's a bug, but certain classes get more points than others. While, like, at level 3, this class doesn't get a point. But at level 3, these two get points, and the Guardian. So it seems like there's some bugs with some classes. I don't know. It's a little weird, and if that's by design decision, that's just very weird to me. It's very strange. So, that's the end of the Tribesmard Gidmard, the Tribes of Midgard little preview I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to jump to the final portion of this video, which is the pros, cons, and final thoughts. Let's do this. Let's go. The pros, cons, and final thoughts for Tribes of Midgard. Persistent progression. I'm glad that the game actually has that. Like, I can't tell you how many games I've played where every time you fail, it's restarting from the beginning. This game is half-half with that. You got persistent progression. I'm glad it does. You have account-based progression where you earn stuff, you earn new recipes, new gear. I like that. On the other hand, you do have to start from level 1 and progress every game to a maximum of level 10. I'm going to put it in pros because I do like that there is a form of persistent progression. That's good. That's good. I'm glad it's there. 8 classes. There's a fair variety between the classes. A couple of them are tanks, but they're different styles of tanks. There's a couple of range. They're different style as well. There's like support, more DPS heavy, two-handed type of characters as well. So there's a variation between it. There's enough variety between the classes that I think they're justified. There's a reason for them to exist, and I like them. I like them. Up to 10-player co-op. That's hard to find. That's hard to find nowadays. We see a lot of 4-player co-op games. It seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of games. But I'm glad to see there's a game that supports more. I can get more of my guild members in there, and we were having a blast. I think there was like 7 of us in a single game, 7 guild members playing, and that was pretty fun. It's nice to have a change of pace, a game that supports more. Teamwork oriented. It is a very teamwork oriented game. I put this in the pros because that's another thing that you tend not to see too much of. It's like, yeah, the game supports co-op. You're kind of just playing together. You're mowing down enemies together, but you're not really organizing. Like, hey, you guys defend. I'm going to go out there and get more supplies for us. I'll come back. Using those supplies, we'll all get upgrades together, and then we'll go out, take out a boss. You guys go get these items from these guys. I'm going to go out there and get more iron or whatever we need. So it's nice that it's a game that supports organization. It supports actually working as a team rather than just, let's see who can kill the most, that type of game. Challenging. It is very, very difficult, and I put that on the pros. It's a difficult game, but it's not so challenging that you can't at least get your feet wet and progress a little bit. That's there, but we could tell there's room to get better, right? We can be better players. There's stuff to work on, new strategies to develop so we can get further in the game, and it's not a one attempt you're going to be the best type of situation. It's got a lot of challenging, but there is no difficulty settings. The difficulty kind of ramps up as you're playing the game. It just gets harder and harder the longer you hold out for. So you can choose to dip out early or stay when it gets really tough and stick it out. Graphically pleasing. I love the way the game looks. It's got this Borderlands-like cell shading on it, and it actually looks quite good from an isometric standpoint. I did mention Borderlands, so I guess I should touch on, like, I'm not really a huge fan of how Borderlands looks in a first-person perspective, but isometric games, it just looks very nice. It looks like it's got like almost like a hand-drawn type of look to it in some areas and in some aspects of it. So I like it. That's why I put it at the end of the pros, because I feel like it's a minor thing, but it's worth mentioning. It looks nice. Cons. The game has that always have something to worry about design, and it is extremely restrictive, and it completely destroys the survival elements. It has this speedrun-like approach to it where you gotta do this quickly before we get attacked, and go back and worry about this, and let me go out to get more supplies here, but I gotta worry about this this giant god walking against our village, and it's got this rush approach to it, rather than just let's get better and worry about the combat, you know, like let's just get good and actually beat this thing. It's, I think, the game's biggest con, and that's what a lot of people hate about this game. That's what's hitting the reviews in a negative fashion the most, is that right there, that first con. It's just not the survival game that a lot of people were led to believe it was, and it was actually advertised as such. They went out of their way to make sure it was pushed as this survival co-op game, and it's just not. I would not put this under the survival genre. Cash shop. Boo. Even if it's just cosmetic, boo. Yes, it's better that it's cosmetic only, yeah, but still boo. It sucks that it's even there at all. No solo. No solo friendly. It is not solo friendly at all. It is not a good time if you're going to play by yourself. Heck, even like 2 people, it's kind of bad. 3 people's probably the point where it's like, okay, it gets a little better, but like 4 is that sweet spot of there's 3 entryways to your base. You could have 1 on each entryway, and then the other guy out there still doing stuff while the base is getting attacked. He can still get out there and get some supplies for the team. It's like pretty much a 3 or 4 player minimum, in my opinion. So, horrible community management. See my previous video for details on that, and the previous video also has like a 45-minute kind of like playthrough if you want to check that out. Final thoughts. Tribes of Midgard falls short for those looking for this true survival game that the game was originally advertised as. It seems the team chose to go the longevity route with seasons in order to keep players coming back to potentially spend more money on the cosmetic cash shop. It's not a bad game. It's a fun co-op game. It is not the game you were probably led to believe it would be if you were looking at it months before, or even weeks prior. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Tribes of Midgard, this review. If you guys like this content, please throw me a sub. Always appreciate that. It keeps me going, keeps me motivated to throw more content. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. Always appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Skit!